Hey, welcome back to the show. Today we're going to talk about recruiting. No, we're not going to talk about recruiting. Well, we're sure going to talk about recruiting, but look, is anybody else tired of talking about recruiting? Yeah, look, it doesn't matter if you recruit if you can't teach them how to produce. I'm going to share with you step by step why 95% of my agents are in production within 6 months. Enjoy the show.
What's the magic sauce? What's the process? What's the this? What's the that? What is the silver bullet? Well, I think we all know the silver bullet's what? Consistency, right? So it's pretty simple, but the agent's always looking for the quickest, easiest fix known to mankind. Then the second piece of that was, how do I make my managers better attractors of talent? Not recruiters, attractors of talent. So after today, after my little session, I hope you understand the difference between recruiting and attracting people, because at some point you have to be chased, not always chasing somebody. All right, cool? So first things first, from a recruiting standpoint, I think we could all agree that an incredible culture is a number one. Todd touched on it earlier. Culture will keep a retention piece, right? It doesn't matter how many people you bring in the front door if the back door's wide open. If you could somehow Katie bar the door and still attract a bunch of talent, you're gonna be winning, you're gonna be scaling at a crazy ass trajectory. But the truth of the matter is, we've all had that opportunity, or that, I shouldn't say opportunity because it is not an opportunity. We've all had that moment where you get the, got a minute? And it's your top-king producer. And they're standing in your doorway, right? Hand on the door jamb or the arm on the door jamb and be like, you got a minute? And you're like, oh no. When you get got a minute, you know it's too late, right? The horse is out the barn when you get the got a minute, all right? Or then they leave for whatever reason, all right? You can't talk them off the ledge. But here's the craziest thing. I've seen it dozens of times. 3 to 4, 5 other randos will just walk out the door right behind them, not knowing why that person left to begin with. They're just like, well, if Julie's leaving, I'm gone. Clearly something's wrong with this ship. Or then on the other side, you have the agent, right? Killed it in 20, killed it in 21. In 2022, about midway through, I remember I was in Sun Valley when the interest rates peaked over 7%, and everybody thought the world was gonna stop. It was like June 14th, I think, right around there. And oh my God, no one's ever gonna sell a piece of real estate ever again. What am I gonna do with my life? And everybody who had success in 20 and 21, most of them, were like, I'm okay with this little break. I'm cool with this. But then guess what happened? It carried into 23, and oh shit, it carried into 24. And now all of a sudden, some of those top agents aren't even licensed any longer, right? So you have an agent who walks out the door, sometimes for no reason, one of your top agents. Number two, you have agents whose production has gone in the toilet. You know what the greatest cure for both of those is? Recruiting. If you do not recruit your top agent's GCI every year, right? So what I say by that is, Brad, the top agent in your office does how much in GCI, would you say? $750. You need to recruit $750,000 worth of GCI every Q1 every year. You have to be prepared in the event that that person walks out the door. So that why? Your bottom line's not affected by it in the event they leave. If they stay, awesome. You just added an additional $750 to your bottom line in the first quarter. Why is it important to do it in the first quarter? So that you can actually keep some retained company dollars throughout the year and it doesn't impact you the following year, right? We could all sit here and say, I recruited 24 people, and if you recruited 21 of them in December of this year, awesome. Not gonna help you this year. It'll help you in 26, but it's not gonna help you now. All right, so make sure that you guys are always recruiting.
Real estate professionals, you and I both know 87% of the licensees don't make it in this business. Don't worry, I don't have anything to sell you here, but what I do want to do is I want to impact your life. I want to change your life. In order for you to be the top of the top, you're going to need to do some things different, and one of those things is to become part of the Sales Warrior community. Subscribe below, it's free.
So occasionally, and by occasionally I mean 1 to 2, maybe even 3 times a week, my wife and I will wake up about 1:30. For whatever reason, clock goes off, boom, we're wide awake. 1:30 is a little early to start your day. Like, I'm not going on the tonal at 1:30 in the morning. I'm not gonna do my little morning routine at 1:30. It's just a little too early, so we'll turn it on the TV. I know, it sucks. It's a terrible habit. I typically cover my head, but we stumble across, I'm gonna fall on the cross right here. We stumble across the new season of Love is Blind. Have you heard of this show? It's a social experiment. You got this living quarters of men over here and you got women over here. And the idea, the concept of this whole deal is what? To see if true love is actually blind, meaning you're in a pod. Say Shannon and I are on a date. We can't see each other. all we can do is feel the energy of our communication. That's it, period, end of story. I can't text her, I can't email her, I can't stalk her on social to see what she actually looks like in this case. But it's like the only time we have connection is when we have these little dates. And I don't know if they're 30 minutes long or an hour long, if you have to like block out like you would a conference room, like I need the conference room for 90 minutes. Like, I don't know if that's how it works, but you just get this minimal period of time spent together. So you're not asking questions, but the whole idea is to find true love, and literally people will get down on a knee through a fucking screen and propose. Like, it's the craziest thing. And then they see each other for the first time. These doors open up and you look and go, because it's total bullshit, right? Like, they want to see, they want to make sure. And Shawnee brought it up. She goes, there's never been anyone like out of this world. And Shannon was like, wouldn't it be crazy if you just had this amazing humanitarian and they might have weighed and been in a wheelchair or something like that. But like, true love is blind, right? That's the whole idea. So anyways, they do not talk about the weather. They talk about real stuff. What are your political views? How do you handle conflict? How do you do this? How do you do that? Why is that important? Because they have minimal time to spend with each other to create what? A connection. So you're probably wondering why or how in the world this relates to recruiting. Well, it's the same exact thing. We do not go on appointments to say, hey, Swade, tell me about your day. You should be going out with an intentionality of saying, all right, I have to do what? I have to identify your pain points, eventually come up with a solution, eventually present them to you so that you see the value in me being a part of your business. Right? Sound familiar? This is exactly what it is that we do. A few ways of making these types of deposits early on is our 4-week nurture plan. All right, you guys have heard me say it a million times. You've heard Todd say it a million times. You got to build the list to what? Serve the list. So you got to have a list, meaning who is going to be on my list? Who are the people that I want to grow with? What type of agent do I want to be in my culture? Because we've all known of an agent you bring in, you're like, oh, I finally got her. Or I finally got him. And within 6 months, they've ruined your culture. They've ruined your culture without you even knowing it. Just by bringing in one outside personality that you think's a good one because of their production. Don't lead with production, lead with actual humanality. So you have your list, you're going to figure out a way, all right, how am I gonna connect with these people? Well, the first thing we're gonna do, week 1. And by the way, for all you passive aggressive recruiters out there, this is right up your alley. You wanna know why? Because you're not making phone calls. You're sending texts and you're sending emails. So you're going to send an email, you're gonna introduce yourself, right? Hey, Aaron, this is Jeff Renevere. You and I have never met. I just wanted to say, fill in the blank. Oh my gosh, congratulations on that new listing. Oh my gosh, congratulations on the call. Like, whatever the case may be, you're always looking for ways to connect. Number 2, week 2, you're gonna friends and comments. What I mean by that is, if you have 5 people on the list or 105 people on the list, you're gonna follow them on social media. We all know the cheat code, right? Cheat code to social media, like and comment 4 words, okay? That cheats the algorithm. It puts you at the top of their feed, which means what? The second piece of that is you actually have to put some content out there because you want your stuff buried in their feed, or I shouldn't say buried, at the top of their feed. Week 3, you're going to send the invitation. If you're not already doing training events in your office, start there. Start doing those. Lunch, maybe it's a lunch and learn, maybe it's local title company coming in, talking about XYZ, septic plat this, covenants that, whatever the case may be. Make sure you guys are inviting them to that. And then the little cheat code there could be, hey, listen, we're gonna have this accredited CE course, all the nuances about a 1031 exchange, donation to a food bank, or it'll cost you 20 bucks. It could be a potential profit center for you as well, or at least paying for a cool event, having your title company or whomever sponsor that with you. And then week 4, you're gonna call for the appointment. So think about it. We got an email, we've had some connection, we're following on Facebook, so I know exactly Jason spent the last 10 days in South Florida. Now I can say, Jason, oh my God, it looked like you had an amazing time in Florida. How was it? How was the weather? This, that, and the other. Now I want to set the appointment. Can I buy you a cup of coffee? And he's gonna probably say what? About what? Why? Well, I want to get to know you. Why? Because I'm a builder of businesses. Why? Right? Like, that's just who you are. You're trying to create that authority in its current space. So the approach is intentional, it's direct, but it's cutting through the junk. Just like those millennials on the dating show. They don't have time to waste, nor do you, all right? You go on an appointment and they have to look up your picture online, you've already lost. They should already know who the heck you are, right? Because they should be following you. They should be commenting. They should be liking. If done properly, they're doing what? Chasing you, not necessarily you always chasing them. Because that was the other piece about that experiment, right? So Jim and Jess might have a connection, but Jim might also like Sally. And Sally might also like Mike. And Mike might also like, you get where I'm going with this, right? There's multiple connections that they have with multiple different people, which means what? You have competition. I was coaching a guy the other day and he was like, yeah, that agent ended up going someplace else.
And I go, well, what happened? They're like, well, they told me to give them some time because they were going X, Y, and Z. I said, well, why did they choose the other person or the other company? They're like, because they called me every day for 15 weeks. So they didn't listen to the part where you needed some space. I said, what's the lesson? They're like, don't listen to them. Just continue to send them about it, right? Like, calling just to call is one thing, but calling to give and provide value or an opportunity to grow someone's business, that's completely different. They'll never sign up. They'll never sign us. So the art of attraction, as my time as a manager, 7 years, and I worked at 2 different companies, obviously Distinctive Properties most recently, but prior to that, I worked for a Reddit company. The initials TL, you guys can know what that means, right? And so in my 7 years, I went back and I added this up. I was directly responsible for recruiting 137 individual agents. Most recently, I helped the team, some of those guys in this room, in 12 months, recruit 116 people. And one day I was asked by Todd, a challenge by Todd, he goes, Jeff, how'd you do it? I go, I don't know, dude, like, you know me, like I put myself in a really, really bad spot. I procrastinated long enough. I did the Q4 push, right? Again, didn't help me that year from a financial standpoint, but it sure as hell changed the trajectory of the office moving forward. Because I need you to put it on paper. I don't know how to do that. I'm not a system guy. No one in their right mind and knows me would describe me as Jeff's assistance and ops guy. That guy follows stuff step by step and can clearly articulate everything that he wants you to do. Absolutely friggin' not. That is not my superpower. In fact, it's the opposite of superpower. So that's my kryptonite. There we go. There's my Achilles heel.
All right, you made it to the end. Smart move. What did you learn? Hope you learned something. Do me a favor, share this video with somebody who needs to get into production. Share this video with somebody who's got agents that need to get into production. Look, the battle cry here is let's change some lives. Let's build some sales warriors. We got to help our community out. Share the video, subscribe below. See you in the next one.